You can join us live for our next BookFunnel webinar. Check out the link in the description for more details. We hope to see you there. What we're going to do here now is I'm going to just do a quick overview of the dashboard. Just make sure you know where everything is, or especially a few key things here on the dashboard I want to make sure that you're aware of. And then I'll get to your questions. This is a Q&A session. That is going to primarily be what we focus on today. In order to ask questions, you can just put those in the Zoom chat, and I will go through them in order. There are some questions that were pre-submitted as well, and so I'll be pulling those out too, trying to mix them in with some of the questions that are coming in live. But to start, while you're thinking of some questions or maybe asking those questions, I'll go ahead and start going over the dashboard. And I want to start actually by rearranging my windows in here so that I have room to see everything. All right, there we go. So first, I want to turn your attention here to the upper right-hand corner of your dashboard. We have a few things here that are useful for you. Primarily, I want you to know about the help icon and the account tab here. The account tab, this will take you to your account settings. This is also where you can log out of your account if you need to do that for any reason. But if we go to our account settings, you'll see here, we can see all of the information about our account. And this is where we can come to change our account email, the name associated with our account. We could update our password here or set up team logins. This is where if you need to give access to your account to someone else, like a VA or an assistant, you can do that here with team logins. So they don't have to have they do have to have a separate login for BookFunnel, but that way you're not sharing your BookFunnel credentials. Essentially, your login credentials, they can log in directly to your account. They won't see any of your billing information or anything like that. They'll just have access to do things on your dashboard. And then, of course, we have your billing settings here. You can update your payment method. You can also change your account plan. If you need to upgrade or downgrade, you can do so at any time, either annual or monthly plans, depending on what plan type you're on. If you have questions about billing, I do recommend you reach out to BookFunnel Author support at bookfunnel.com, and we can answer those questions for you. Or if you're in a situation, let us know. You can also add audiobook plans onto your BookFunnel account this way. If you are wanting to deliver audiobooks, we have a few options for that, depending on what plan you're using. And you can also view your billing history and then suspend or cancel your account. You can suspend or cancel at any time. It should be noted for all your plans, what this will do is it'll just prevent your account from renewing on your next renewal date, whether that's annual or monthly. That's your account settings there. Now, the help icon, if you click this, it's actually going to open up this sidebar here. And a couple things. First of all, it's going to pull up some articles from the author knowledge base, depending on where you are on your dashboard. So these links are relevant to the account settings tab. If I were on a different tab, these links would be different, but I can also search the author knowledge base from here as well. And it will pull up links relevant to that topic. And then I can hop over to the author knowledge base and check those out. I can also contact BookFunnel support here. This is an email subject line and message body, so I can send a message to BookFunnel support just by typing in my message and clicking get help. I will send an email to BookFunnel author support. We do our best to get back to all of your requests as quickly as possible. We are checking your emails pretty much around the clock when we're not sleeping, right? Our hours are roughly 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. Central Time. So, and that's in the US. So if you happen to be across the pond or down under, just know that at certain times of day, if you email us, we might be sleeping, but once we're up and we've had our coffee, we will be answering your questions throughout the day. We do our best to respond in a timely manner. Sometimes certain issues require our engineering team. So if you do have something kind of quirky that comes up and our engineering team needs to look into it, that sometimes takes a little bit longer, but we try to be responsive throughout the day as well. Our support is kind of the main focus of BookFunnel. Most of our team is dedicated to support, in fact. We have more support staff than we have engineering staff because we want to be able to help readers and we want to be able to help authors. So if you have questions or you're having trouble, do not hesitate to reach out. Again, support at bookfunnel.com if you want to email us directly, or again, right here from your dashboard, just click the help icon. Now, if we go back here to the Home tab, I want to just do a quick rundown of all the features here on the left-hand side, and then we can go ahead and start going through some questions here, any that you put in the chat, and I'll also go through some of the pre-submitted ones. So this is where all of your features are going to live on BookFunnel here on this left-hand menu, and it's also where when you create books and landing pages and certified mail campaigns and all of that stuff, it's all going to be stored in these tabs. So your Books tab is going to store all of your books once you have created them. And you can sort them here by name, by the pen name, the number of downloads. We can click this gear icon here if we want to edit that book, or we want to view the book's details, or add a landing page, or even delete the book. So there's a number of things we can do right here from this page. And if we click on the name of one of these books, we can see our book details and go into more detail here on things like delivery settings. We can add it to a reader's library if we have their email. We can add watermarking and ebook samples, as well as seeing download stats. This book is a test book, so of course it doesn't have any real downloads at this time. And then we can also view the landing pages that are associated with it, right? And those are listed here at the bottom. So there's a lot that we can do here just right from our book details. Our landing pages tab is going to be much the same. We can see all of our landing pages, the book that they are associated with, and then even copy the links here. I can actually click this and copy a link to a landing page relatively quickly so that I can just grab a link and go if I need to share it really quick. If I click on the gear icon, again, I have options to view the page details, edit it, duplicate it, expire it, or delete it. And if I click on the name, I'll view the landing page details where I can kind of see all of the links, first of all, which is helpful, but I can see the download stats. I can review the landing page settings, and then if I want to make changes, I can click the action button here to edit. Right? This action button up here will be your friend. Wherever that appears, that's usually where you'll go to edit or make changes to anything that you're currently viewing. And then if you're wanting to add something new, say you're wanting to add a new book, or add a new landing page, you'll come here to the Add New button. And this will always be on your dashboard, no matter where you are on the dashboard. So it's always there for you to find it. You can add a new book, you can add new landing pages, pen names, and so forth right from here. The next few features on this list of tabs are ways for you to send books directly to readers. Landing pages, of course, are passive features. When you create a landing page, there's a link associated with it, and you can post that link wherever you want. Landing pages, essentially, those links are meant to be discoverable by readers. So you want to put them somewhere where readers are going to find it. You might even share it in your newsletter in certain circumstances. However, sometimes you don't want a link to be discoverable in that way. You want to send a link directly to a reader, or send a book directly to a reader in a private way. Now, landing pages do still generate private links when they collect emails. A reader submits their email to an email collection page, for example, they get a private link sent to them, and that's how they access the book. But if you want to just send them a private link, well, Certified Mail and Gift-a-Book are designed for that. Certified Mail is our dedicated ARC delivery feature. It's intended for you to deliver ARC copies of your book to readers. If we click Create New Campaign, you'll see here, all I've got to do is copy in a list of emails from my mailing list service, select which book I want to send them. I can customize the email that they receive, and I can also customize follow-ups and reminders if I want to add those as well, to remind them to review the book and follow up with some instructions. Of course, all of this I'll customize and add links to and so forth, and then I can send the campaign to those readers. So Certified Mail is intended specifically for delivering ARCs. Now, if you want to deliver a book to a reader for some other reason, Gift-a-Book is probably the feature that's best for that, especially if it's just one reader at a time. You can email them a gift link. Again, just put in their information here, select the book that you want to deliver, and of course you can customize the message that BookFunnel sends them when that link is delivered. Those links delivered through Certified Mail and Gift-a-Book are private links, which means they are limited by IP address. And so if more than 2 IP addresses access a private link, that link expires. So readers who receive a private link, which is the link that actually allows them to download the book, right? All right. If they share that online, that page is going to expire if they try to share it. So if you're concerned with people sharing links to books, then private links are the way to go, because it will sort of shut that down naturally. It means that that link is not going to just get shared everywhere, right? Or if it does get shared, nobody's going to really be able to download it, We make it 2 IP addresses though, because most readers will wind up using 2 IP addresses if they are accessing a book from work or from home or what have you. So that gives the reader a little bit of flexibility while still keeping the link secure. Now, in some cases, you might want to skip the link altogether. Bulk delivery is intended for that. Bulk delivery is a feature we created that's intended for Kickstarter and Patreon, for delivering rewards to backers and patrons, but it can be used for other things as well. Like certified mail, I add a list of readers from my mailing list service. I select the books that I want to deliver. And then when I deliver those books, they get added directly to that reader's BookFunnel cloud library. So instead of a link getting sent to them by email, they get added to their library there. And then all you have to do as the author is send them an email, and notify them, hey, your books are waiting for you in your BookFunnel library. You can log in with your email at my.bookfunnel.com and access your books there. And so in that respect, it's even more secure because there's no link at all. The books just get added to their library. Now, if you're looking to cross-promote with authors and grow your mailing list or get a little boost in sales, group promos and author swaps are the way to go. These are our cross-promotional features on BookFunnel. Group promos are, you can see here, we have a list of promos in various genres, ranging from romance, young adult, general fiction, action and adventure, and more. When you're looking at this list and you expand it, you'll be able to see promos by type, the date they start, the date they end, etc. And then if you click on a promo, you'll be able to see more details about it. Group promos, these are groups of authors who are coming together to cross-promote one another's books. So when you join a group promo, the books in that promo are all going to be on a landing page, and that link gets shared by each author in the promo. So readers on their mailing list will go to that landing page, be able to browse all the books, and they're going to stumble upon yours, and they're going to say, you know what, I want to try that book, and they're going to join your mailing list to get a free copy of your reader magnet or what have you, whatever it is you're adding to that promo. So this is a way for you to cross-promote with other authors. These are other authors typically in your genre or subgenre. And so you get exposure to their readers. Their readers get exposure to your books, and it helps you grow your mailing list, and you can grow your mailing list from the ground up. Author swaps are similar, except they are one-to-one. So it is one author cross-promoting with one other author, in which case you say, hey, I want to share your book with my audience. If you share mine, and each of you get a link to one another's books, to a landing page that you've created, and then you share the other author's book with your own mailing list, with your audience, and they do the same. Now, promos and swaps, the way that we keep track of this is when an author shares a promo or a swap with their newsletter, we track clicks on the link that they share, and this goes toward their reputation or their share average. So that we're able to see, and organizers are able to see, and other authors in swaps are able to see, basically, if that author does their part and how much traffic they typically will bring to a promo or to a swap when they're swapping with another author. And so that's good information for you to have. And then on these last couple tabs here, sales, if you're setting up direct sales delivery through any of these platforms, Fourth Wall, Gumroad, Lemon Squeezy. We added Fourth Wall and Lemon Squeezy somewhat recently, but we also have PayHip, Shopify, Thrivecart, and WooCommerce. You can sell your books directly through your online store or website using one of these platforms, integrate it with BookFunnel, and when a sale occurs in your store, BookFunnel will automatically deliver private download links for those items to your customers. So that's what the sales tab is all about. We have a webinar on direct sales delivery. In fact, we have a couple of webinars, one that's kind of going over the basics. We also have one that's kind of showing you a comparison between all the different platforms that you could potentially use. And then print codes. This is a fun little feature here where you can create batches of printable download codes. Usually authors will put these on an address label, stick it on a postcard or a bookmark or something to hand out at in-person events. So if you're doing any of those, it's great for that. You can use it for reader magnets, or you can also use it for selling your books, your digital books, ebooks and audiobooks in person. It makes it really easy to do that since you have something tangible that you can give to the customer there. So that's a quick rundown of all the features. There's a lot more we could go into, and this isn't intended to be an exhaustive look at the BookFunnel dashboard. So I want to get to your questions though here. I see I've got something in the chat here, and we'll go through that. But if you have more questions, go ahead and start putting those in here, and we'll start focusing on that. Obviously, I can show things on the dashboard here as well. So if you have questions about a specific page on the dashboard or a specific feature, go ahead and fire away and we'll get to that. So a question here from Jim, I believe. Can team members do everything that you can do in the account? And can they be restricted in some way? So, Jim, I'm assuming you're asking here about team logins. And so team members can do anything on the account. They have access to basically all of this here on the left-hand side, right, of the BookFunnel dashboard. However, they do not have access to your account settings. At this time, there is no way to limit them on what aspect of BookFunnel or which features they have access to. That is something we have had requests for before, though. So our engineering team may look into that in the future. But for now, they would have the ability to do anything on your dashboard, such as creating books, pen names, adding landing pages, joining promos and swaps for you, pretty much anything. But they obviously won't have access to delete your account or change your billing information or change the password to your account. They can update their own password to log into BookFunnel. Essentially, they're logging in under their own email and password to then access your account because you've granted them access, but they don't have access directly to your account settings or to change your plan or your billing or anything like that. All right. So a question here from Jacqueline. What do the emails look like? I see where to put the text, but I want to include a picture of my book. Can I do that? So I'm guessing here that we're probably asking about certified mail or gift a book. Let me know. Go ahead and clarify in the chat if I'm misunderstanding here. There is not a way to add an image to a certified mail email campaign at this time. Or a gifted book. Right? So those, it's pretty much just going to be the text itself. However, you can send a test email to yourself for certified mail in order to see what the emails will look like. So you can just click send a test. That will send you a test email that will let you preview how it will look, depending on like if you've added links or you've done any sort of formatting here. Obviously, that's what this bar is here for. So you can add your own links. You can customize the formatting to your liking if you want. And that way, that gives you kind of a preview of what you want. If you want to have an email for certified mail or gift a book that's much more customized, right? You want to add images and so forth. I recommend using your mailing list service. And you can use that in conjunction with a BookFunnel landing page link. So you could still do that. You would just have to do that with your mailing list service instead to send that kind of email. And depending on how you're doing that, that could be done in an automated sort of way. If you're adding ARC readers to a group in your mailing list service and then sending them an email like that, that's an option as well. Yes, so Jacqueline followed up here in the chat. Yes, so because these emails are coming from, they're actually coming from the BookFunnel email, right? So it's help@bookfunnel.com is the email that readers will be seeing. For that reason, we kind of keep things simple. It's all basically there's limited customization because we're also sending that. There's storage and things like that we have to take into consideration with that sort of thing. And the size of those emails. It makes it simpler because readers are typically, most readers won't have necessarily interacted with BookFunnel on an email basis. And so when a reader receives a certified mail email or a gift a book email and they've never interacted with BookFunnel before, and the only time they would necessarily have interacted with BookFunnel by email is maybe if they downloaded a book in the past, perhaps, right? But usually it's through BookFunnel reader support. They need help with something. Right. The majority of readers don't need BookFunnel reader support. They're fine without it. They're able to get their books just fine. What can happen is if that email they receive has lots of links in it or it has images, those are things that email service providers flag as potential spam. And so that gets those filtered out of their primary inbox. And so for that reason, certified mail, we keep it rather simple. Again, if you're wanting to do more marketing and branding, I should mention this. Certified mail is not intended to replace your mailing list service. This is not intended to be like for marketing emails and that sort of thing. So this is just for delivering ARCs. That's all it's for. If you want to do something more custom, which I totally get, by the way, to have your branding, have a beautiful template when you're sending those emails. Like if you're sending your newsletter, yeah, certified mail isn't intended for that. You want to use a mailing list service provider for. All right, Anita has a question here. A promo starts today and I scheduled my promo to go out today. How do I check if it has gone out to my subscribers? Okay, so good question. So I'm guessing that you're saying that you've scheduled it to go out today. I'm assuming you've done that in your mailing list service by scheduling a campaign, whether you're using MailerLite, MailChimp, what have you. Sometimes the terminology is a little different, but if you've scheduled an email to go out to your subscribers, a couple things you'll want to check there on your mailing list service to confirm that email has been sent. That's ultimately what you're going to want to do, is make sure that you check there. BookFunnel can't see the emails that you send through your mailing list service. And that is how you should be sharing your promos with your readers. So you'll want to check there to make sure the email has been sent out. Now, in terms of knowing whether or not your tracking link to that promo has gotten clicks, that we can see on the BookFunnel dashboard. If you go to group promos and then you go to your promos, you will see, and this demo account is not currently in any promos, so you won't be able to see it on my dashboard right now. But normally you will see your active promos here in a list, and there will be a list of them here along the left-hand column. And you can hover over the name of that promo, or you can click on it and then scroll down to your stats, and you'll be able to see how many clicks that you've gotten. So that's the way to confirm that you've gotten clicks. You can do that on your dashboard by viewing the promo details or going here to your active promos and hovering over that. Sometimes if you have more than one book in a promo, it's best to click it instead, because sometimes it pulls stats for the second book and we only record clicks on the first book. Anyway, that's a tiny little bug there. But at any rate, that's where you would go to find it, is you want to go to your promos here under group promos, and then either click on the promo itself or hover over it to see those stats. And that will confirm that clicks have happened. It's important too to note that just because the email has been sent out to your readers, to your subscribers, doesn't necessarily mean that clicks have occurred. And so if you're sending the email and the link is in there and you're not getting any clicks, reach out to BookFunnel support and we can help kind of troubleshoot what might be going on. There's a number of reasons why that can be the case sometimes. Jacqueline has another question here. Where can I find virtual assistants? Upwork and Fiverr. Those are two great options. Upwork and Fiverr are probably decent places to start looking. However, you might also want to look around at various groups on Facebook. Facebook is probably a good place, good resource. In fact, if you were to go into the BookFunnel Authors Only Facebook group, this would be a good question to ask in there and ask folks, hey, where do you find your virtual assistants, or do you have any recommendations? The BookFunnel Authors Only Facebook group is generally not a place for self-promotion. So it's not a place where you can go and be like, here's my book, everybody buy it. There are other authors in the group. It's about self-publishing and authoring, if you will. However, that would be a perfectly legitimate question. That would be something that our admins would allow, a question like that. And there are some virtual assistants potentially in the group. However, I would phrase the question more like you have here. Where do you guys find your virtual assistants, or do you have any recommendations? There are some folks, obviously we do our best to kind of curate who gets added to the group, but depending on how you phrase the question, you might be attracting the wrong thing. So I would recommend you go there and into the BookFunnel Authors Only Facebook group and ask there. They'll be able to give you some good recommendations. I'm sure we have plenty of authors who use virtual assistants and are pleased with them and would be willing to give you a recommendation, and that'd be totally fine. We would allow that in that thread on the Facebook group. All right, I'm going to go through a couple of our pre-submitted questions here, but feel free to continue adding questions here into the Zoom chat, and we have a little bit more time here to get to those. So a question that came in here, I think, I'm not sure. I don't think this one had a name. So let me see. Is there a way I can sort it? There we go. And let's go. All right. Okay. No, that didn't work the way I thought it did. That did not work the way I thought it was going to work. Okay. Now I see. I'm trying to make sure I have folks' names here with the questions that they submitted. So I think this question is submitted by Joanne. So Joanne asks, I would like clarification on the step-by-step process of getting book titles in my promo groups on my newsletter. I have participated in a group promo once, but I don't know how to add some of the other book titles in my newsletter. And a second question, if these titles are on my newsletter, do readers only have to click on the front cover to make a purchase? Okay, so there's a few layers to this question here. So the step-by-step process of getting book titles in my promo groups on my newsletter. So I'm assuming these are BookFunnel promos that you are actively involved in. You participated in a group promo once, but you don't know how to add some of the other book titles in your newsletter. Okay. So if I'm understanding this correctly, and I might not be, and I'll give it my best shot here. When you're in a BookFunnel promo, let me see if I can find one here. That'll be a good example. When you're in a promo, let's actually view can we preview the page? Yep, here we go. This is what it will look like. Right, so this is the promo page. This is a preview, but you get the idea. These are the books in the promo. I'm guessing you might be asking, like, how do you get these books into your newsletter that you're sending to your readers? I may be wrong, but I'll answer this first. If you're saying, I want to share these books in my newsletter, well, you're going to want to share the promo. And that's really what you're going to need to do. You can download these cover images, right? So you can right click on these and download those and use those images in your newsletter. But then you're going to want to share a tracking link. If you're part of this promo, there will be a tracking link up here at the top that you'll be able to copy. That's what you specifically want to share. Right. And that's what you want to be sharing with your readers, is that tracking link, even if you're using a book cover image. Now, if you're asking, do you have additional books of your own that you want to submit? When you join a promo, obviously you'll click join here and you can add your books to the promo. You have to add them one at a time. So if you've already added one book, you just need to come back and click the action button and join the promo again with the next book. Right? So you have to add each book one at a time, and different promos will have different requirements. So, for example, this promo here allows 4 books per pen name. Some allow more, some allow less. It just depends on the settings set by the organizer, right? And so then the follow-up question, if these titles are on my newsletter, do readers only have to click on the front cover to make a purchase? So I'm guessing you're in a sales promo. When a reader is in a sales promo, again, to kind of go back to that preview page, this happens to be a newsletter promo, but if this were a sales promo, you could click on this cover and it would pull up the landing page. In fact, that regardless of what promo type it is, newsletter promo or sales promo, it'll pull up the landing page. And in the case of a sales promo, it will be a universal book link. And that universal book link will point readers. There will be links to different stores where the book can be purchased. Right, so it's not a one-click and purchase sort of situation. There will be multiple clicks that they'll have to go through, but because they're not purchasing the book directly on BookFunnel. Hopefully that answers the question. If not, this replay is going to be uploaded to YouTube. For those of you who happen to be watching on YouTube now, after this has been posted, feel free to post your questions or follow-ups in the comments on YouTube, and I will respond to those there as well. Let's see. Okay, question here from Barbara. This is another pre-submitted question. After uploading my book on KDP, both ebook and paperback, can I post it on BookFunnel? I have several already posted on KDP, but I was told I could not advertise my ebook elsewhere. Okay, so this is a good question. So it depends, because there's a difference between KDP, which is just Kindle Direct Publishing, and KDP Select. So when you upload your book to KDP, it is not by default enrolled in KDP Select. KDP Select, you have to enroll your book for 90 days. This is also what gets it into Kindle Unlimited. So you're thinking Kindle Unlimited, they're essentially the same thing. And if your book is enrolled in KDP Select, here's your limitations. You are not allowed to sell your book on any other platform. You are not allowed to give it away for free in its entirety. However, you are absolutely allowed to advertise your book. And in fact, you're encouraged to advertise your book, right, on Facebook ads and that sort of thing. So if we're talking about advertising, absolutely, you should advertise it. But if you're talking about posting it elsewhere, that's what you mean by advertise, then yeah, there are some restrictions on that. Generally speaking, the rule of thumb has been that you were safe to give away a sample of your book up to 10%. And it should be noted that that 10% is based on the file size, not based on the word count. Historically, that's been the case. However, that verbiage is no longer on the KDP site. It used to be. It's no longer there. And so it's become a little bit more murky and unclear as to whether or not that's the case. There's some authors who have done this and claimed that they've gotten in trouble and gotten banned by Amazon, or their books were removed, this, that, or the other. It's hard to know what those authors were doing. But this is generally something that you're able to do, is to share a sample of the book. Not the whole thing, but a sample. And I would recommend, maybe it's the first chapter, right? It doesn't have to be anything. But there's an important distinction here between KDP and KDP Select. If your book is not in KDP Select, you've just uploaded it to Amazon, you can sell it anywhere that you want, even if the ebook is on Amazon. You're selling it on Amazon, but it's not in KDP Select. It's not on Kindle Unlimited. You can sell it anywhere. And in fact, you could give away free copies if you wanted to. Of course, Amazon, if they catch on, they do price match. So if you're giving it away for free or selling it for free somewhere else, it may get price matched. And then Amazon will make it free on their store as well. So that's something to keep in mind. And it's also important to note that this only applies to your ebook. So your audio and paperback aren't restricted by KDP Select. KDP Select only applies to your ebook. So if your book is in Kindle Unlimited, this does not preclude you from selling paperbacks of your book in other stores. It's only the ebook that you're restricted on. Likewise with audio, if you wanted to produce and sell audiobooks outside of that ecosystem, you could do so, right? So you have options with other formats, but important to know whether or not you are in KDP Select or not. So in the Zoom chat here, Jim, excuse me, has another question. What are the relative advantages of creating your own sales landing page versus a shopping cart provider landing page versus a BookFunnel sales landing page, especially with respect to promotions? Okay. So we've got a few different things here. So a BookFunnel sales landing page, actually, we've updated the names of these. This is a universal book link is what we call these now. I think this will be, I hope this is a good example. But this isn't a bad example. I've got another one here this one's got all sorts of buttons on it, but that's for a specific purpose. I was trying to show off all the new stores we added. You do not have to use all these buttons, right? So the purpose of a BookFunnel universal book link is, especially if you're wide, meaning I'm selling my book on Amazon and Apple, and I'm putting it on Barnes and Noble. I'm putting it all over. I'm putting it on every store. It becomes difficult to point your readers in the right direction, right? And so with a universal book link, I can provide them links to all the stores where my book is through one link. And then I can share just that one link. It makes it easier to manage your links. Now, if you are not wide, if you're just in, if you're KDP Select, that might not make as much sense. You might be saying, well, why would I need another page with a link just to send them to Amazon? And that's totally valid. It's sometimes easier if your books are just available on Amazon just to send them one link. However, a universal book link is great in the sense because it can also offer links to other formats. So I could have just my link to Amazon here. Just imagine that all these buttons are gone. There's just one for Amazon. But then there's also links to my audiobook and my paperback. And so I'm also kind of pitching those to readers as well, if that's part of your strategy. Now, creating your own sales landing page, or I guess I could say a shopping cart provider. So, that's different in the sense that, if you have an online store, then that may be like you're selling your books through your own website. That may be where you want to send them instead. And if you're only selling direct through your own website, then you're going to want to funnel everybody there. So it depends on what you're wanting to do. A universal book link is going to give readers options. And so if you want them to have the choice of where they're going to go, a universal book link makes sense. If you're trying to funnel them to one specific thing, I want you to buy through my store, then yes, sending them to your own store, your purchase page that you have set up through Shopify or what have you, right? Then that would be the way to go. The main advantage of using a universal book link over creating your own page like this is that you can do this in 5 minutes. Whereas if you're doing something like this or trying to replicate this on your own website, it's going to take you more time. I'm sure there's plenty of web designers out there that could create a landing page like this. There's nothing smoke and mirrors about this. It's just right there for you to just do real quick on BookFunnel. That's kind of the main, that's what I would say. Hopefully that answers your question, Jim. If not, feel free to follow up in the chat. We are running short on time here, but I'll try to get to it if you have questions. So Jacqueline asks in the Zoom chat here, how is BookFunnel's purpose different than a MailerLite? Okay, good question. Actually, this is something that we get asked with some frequency. So MailerLite is, and I'm going to go here to our integrations tab so you can see here, you can connect MailerLite to BookFunnel. So these platforms, BookFunnel and MailerLite, can work together, but they're doing different things. So MailerLite is a mailing list service. You're using it to keep track of a mailing list, keep track of unsubscribes, which you're required to do by law. There's privacy law and so forth around this. You can't just keep a list in a spreadsheet of emails and email them through Gmail. First of all, you'll get banned on Gmail. Gmail will limit you, and it's not good. If you did that en masse, you'd get in trouble. You don't want to do that. Mailing list services are designed to manage all of that. And so they give you tools to manage that. Right? And also sending emails, sending customized emails for marketing purposes and so forth. BookFunnel is primarily a digital book delivery service. So we're going to deliver books. We're also going to provide your readers support when they have trouble, if they do, getting their books to their device, opening them, accessing them, and so forth. So the main thing here is that well, they're really kind of two totally different things. And so you're not going to be using BookFunnel in order to keep in touch with your subscribers and send your newsletter. That's for MailerLite. I wouldn't recommend delivering EPUB files through MailerLite. You could potentially, I think there's some ways you could do it, but I wouldn't recommend it or any other mailing list service. It's going to be more secure through BookFunnel. It's going to be easier in a number of ways. And it's also going to be easier for those readers to get help. They work together. The services work together. And the reason why is maybe you have a BookFunnel landing page that collects emails. And so using that as a landing page, this is one place where BookFunnel and MailerLite do kind of overlap, right? We have landing pages, right? The difference is that MailerLite landing pages don't really deliver the book, right? BookFunnel landing pages do it all automatically. So a reader can go to a BookFunnel landing page, submit their email, get their download link, and download their book all from one place. And so it streamlines that process. Jim, I realized I kind of skipped one aspect of your question here, which was the end. I was just reading this here, and you said, especially with respect to promotions. And so that maybe kind of changes the lens through which I'm seeing your question here. So the advantages of a BookFunnel universal book link in promotions. I mean, when we're talking about group promotions, if you're joining a sales promo, you have to use a BookFunnel universal book link. So it has to be a link like this. Again, you don't have to have all these buttons, right? But this button, for example, here can go anywhere that you want. This could go to your store. So there's an extra step in BookFunnel group promotions, obviously, because readers are coming there from other authors' mailing lists. And so then they're from there going to then find your book, and then they have to click over to your store or whatever store that they're going to be purchasing the book from. Right. And in that case, in that setting, it's kind of neutral, right? It's less about where you're sending them and more about the effectiveness, of your landing page at selling your book, right? So the effectiveness of your universal book page, right? How well is that sending them to or driving them to click the link, whether it's this button here that goes to your store or it sends them to Amazon or what have you at that point, right? So hopefully that helps there. All right, we are going to have to wrap up here in just a moment, folks. Question here from Jacqueline. Can we use BookFunnel to distribute press releases? No. So that would be something that you would either want to use a mailing list service for, depending on how you're doing that. If you're delivering press releases to news organizations, usually you can email them directly, and that's probably preferred in that context because it's probably not an ongoing communication you're having with like a subscriber. But no, BookFunnel would not be for that purpose. Thank you, folks, for joining us for this Q&A. We will get the replay uploaded by the end of the week. I try to under promise and over deliver. So usually I say by Friday, but sometimes I can get it up sooner if you want to go back and check it out on the BookFunnel YouTube channel. Of course, make sure you grab all of these links. I'm going to copy and paste them all here into the chat again for you guys. Grab those if you didn't grab them earlier and copy and paste those so you have them. Of course, we have some more sessions coming up here in just a little bit. Our next session is going to be 5 unique ways that you can leverage promos and swaps. That's going to be starting here in about 5 minutes. If you'd like to join us for that Zoom call, I will put that link here in the chat as well, in case any of you want to head over there. That is for our upcoming webinar. Again, starting here in just the next few minutes. So thank you, folks. Hope this has been helpful. If you have any questions or follow-ups, feel free to reach out, help@bookfunnel.com or support@bookfunnel.com. If your readers are having trouble, send them to us, help@bookfunnel.com, and we can help them out as well. Otherwise, I will see you either in the next webinar or maybe next month, the next BookFunnel Live. You guys have been great questions today. I appreciate it. Have a great rest of your day, guys, and I will see you all in the next one. Thank you for watching. Check out these other videos from BookFunnel, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel.